A single businesswoman secretly gained control of one of the largest banks in Vietnam, then used it to move tens of billions of dollars through loans that were never meant to be repaid. For years, the system looked normal, until it didn't. Truong My Lan was one of the most powerful figures in Vietnam's business world. Through a network of companies, she gained control of Saigon Commercial Bank. What followed became one of the largest financial fraud cases ever recorded. This is a Fraudify investigation. This is Fraudify, where we unmask the world's biggest scams. Before the scandal, Truong My Lan was known for real estate, luxury developments, prime locations, high-value assets. But influence in real estate wasn't enough. Control over a bank meant something bigger. Access to capital, access to liquidity, and access to the financial system itself. Through layers of ownership, proxies, and affiliated entities, she gained effective control over Saigon Commercial Bank. Not always directly, but decisively. Banks are supposed to operate with strict oversight, shareholding limits, independent management, regulatory checks, but control doesn't always appear on paper. Investigators later found that ownership was spread across associates. Decision-making was centralized. Key positions were influenced internally. From the outside, the bank appeared compliant. Inside, it was controlled. The fraud relied on a simple structure. Loans. Banks issue loans every day. But at SCB, many of these loans were approved for companies linked to Truong My Lan, issued without proper collateral, structured with no realistic repayment plan. Thousands of loan accounts were created. Many borrowers were shell companies, intermediary entities, financial fronts with no real operations. Money moved out of the bank, but it didn't come back. To keep the system running, the debt had to be concealed. This was done through rolling over loans, new loans to pay old ones, moving funds between accounts, restructuring debt to avoid classification as bad loans. On paper, everything looked active. In reality, the same money was circulating, creating the illusion of repayment. It wasn't profit, it was recycling. As investigators dug deeper, the numbers became staggering. Thousands of fraudulent loan agreements, billions of dollars tied to a single network, a large portion of the bank's lending exposed. At its peak, the total financial impact was estimated at over $40 billion. This wasn't a small breach. It was systemic control. The system lasted for years. Why? Because it was complex, layered, internally coordinated. Compliance systems were bypassed. Oversight was weakened. Red flags were buried under volume. And most importantly, the structure made everything appear legitimate. Eventually, the imbalance became impossible to ignore. Cash flow tightened. Liquidity pressure increased. Confidence began to weaken. Authorities stepped in. Investigations began. And what they found was not a series of mistakes, but a coordinated system. Truong My Lan was arrested and brought to trial. The case revealed the extent of control over the bank, the network of entities involved, the scale of financial damage. It became one of the most high-profile financial trials in the region. The consequences were immediate. Financial markets reacted. Public confidence was shaken. Regulators tightened oversight. The case forced a broader conversation. How much control can one individual have over a financial institution? And how long can a system operate before collapse becomes inevitable?
property tycoon has been sentenced to death in the country's biggest ever financial fraud case. 10% of a country's GDP, and nobody noticed. But you're saying she bribed people, but she must have bribed an awful lot of people for that.
This wasn't just a fraud. It was control. Control over a bank, capital, and over a system designed to prevent exactly this. And for years, it worked, until the numbers stopped adding up. This is Fraudify, where we unmask the world's biggest scams. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe to Fraudify for more.